Hi, my name is Penny Olmstead. I'm the Assistive Technology Coordinator for Pickerington Local Schools, and I'm here with an introduction and training for new special education teachers who support low incident disabilities. In our district, we have 17 low incident classrooms, 17 teachers, and then 3 parapros for each classroom. First, I'm going to explain that the barriers that I've identified is that some learners will not have a strong background knowledge of content. So for multiple means of engagement, I have linked resources with vocabulary and questions document, and I'll be using the parking lot where participants can post questions throughout the session if they're too embarrassed to ask questions out loud, and the answers will be placed in the teacher's packet on our shared drive. For multiple means of representation, a single mode of presentation won't allow all learners to build comprehension. So we will be having additional opportunities to attend different short presentations from links that are in this PowerPoint and be given hard copies for note taking. There will be links to videos for examples and then to live binders. For action and expression, an exit ticket will be provided. So to start, this is our link to the section of vocab. And now I'm ready to begin. Welcome to Pickerington Local School District. In our classrooms for low incident disabilities, you'll be asked what you need to plan for in the classroom. And not only are you doing teacher work, independent work, table desk work, group work, quiet areas, and so on, I've broken down for you what that might look like when you look at the table work and what will be the expectations. This is an example of group lesson plans. You do not have to follow this. This is just examples of what your classroom should look like and how it can be divided and made accessible for all your students with their challenging needs. So what else will you be planning for? Especially outside of the classroom? Fire drill routines, your tornado routines. All of this will be explained before we have our first drill. Students will need to know what is going on with art, music, PE, library, our school-wide activities. You'll be practicing assemblies, some of your projects, community instruction, and of course your lunchroom and recess. You may have an area set up or a center for your life skills and fine motor. And you want to do example of classroom expectations. We are a PBIS school district, so we will be working with general ed teachers. And what I would suggest when possible is to use visuals with words and everything that's posted. So what looks like in the general ed classroom may look a little bit different in your low incident classroom, so that the students can better understand what is expected of them. This is what you might need for your art class, art visuals and schedules, time warnings. Transitions are hard for all students. If a student gets done quicker, there can be an art box of materials. But what we are finding out is with our student population, their transition difficulty is that they don't have enough time, but they still want to finish their activity. So you will put a bin and you will teach your student, this is where all your unfinished work goes, so you can come back to it and finish it later. In music class, you're going to want things marked so students don't run up to them and touch instruments or be in areas where they shouldn't be, storage rooms, etc. Again, these slides are, I believe, are pretty self-explanatory. Again, with physical education class, the rules again need to be clear and concise. They're defined spaces. You may want to use plastic tape on the floor. And you will, of course, want to demonstrate. Maybe you want to go videotape a class earlier in the day or earlier in the week, and then you can show that visual to your students. So you're going to be doing the physical structure of your room, staff schedules. All your parapros will have a schedule. Of course, the appropriate curriculum and student schedules. That's your dance for your classroom, your choreography, and putting it all together. You also need to put in your related service schedules. And it seems like a lot of this here will change. Usually within the first few weeks, things are established, but then sometimes a related service staff member may come and ask for a switch. And then that's when you would use your visual schedules. Staff schedules. Here's examples. Other things to consider. It's made like this so it can blow up for you better across your screen. You're going to want a go bag. Maybe the go bag is for emergencies, for when you have to leave the classroom during a drill or a real life experience emergency. But also when you go on field trips. So you may have a couple different go bags. So one is set for when you go on field trips, or one that is just when you need to go outside of the building. Who do you plan with? General education teachers, the peer buddies, and you want to share information about their goals and objectives. Parents, principal supervisor, classroom assistants, bus drivers, related service staff. General education inclusion. Again, you may just take a go bag. If you have a student maybe indicating that they're going to have a meltdown, you may have some tricks in the bag that you can use to pull out. What I do recommend, this is from experience, is that if a student is, let's say, in art class and is having a meltdown, please just bring them outside the door, have a safe area there. Sometimes teachers will allow you to have a chair set up there. And you want to get them as calmed down as much as possible there. We don't want to take them back to the class. That's the last resort, or that will reinforce more often than not the meltdown behavior. Parent communication is probably one of the most important things that you need to establish. A lot of times I send a note home asking what the best time is to contact them, when's not a good time. And I try to limit all my negative responses on paper. And I really, really choose wisely the communication that I have with my parent when there's a problem. And I usually don't do it on the first event or the first incident. And also keep in mind, do general ed teachers typically contact parents for simple fractions of some of the rules? And that answer is no. You try to deal with the student first. You only contact the parent when you've been unsuccessful. Unless, of course, it's an emergency or a crisis. You want to support your paraprofessionals. So you want to have expectations for them and probably a setup and cleaning schedule. And here are some more ideas and suggestions. Now, here are some of our resources. We do use Everways, ULS symbol sticks, and News to You. You must have a subscription. The school district will provide for you the subscription for ULS and symbol sticks. News to You, we would like to kind of maintain that being for upper grades than for the elementary. O'Cali, our life skill curriculum. O'Cali has wonderful opportunities and also for free learning opportunities. Council for Exceptional Students. High Leverage Practice. My Live Binder, which I will take to you, that has assistive technology in UDL. Again, there's our link to your teacher's packet, SPED forms and information, and Universal Design for Learning. This is an example for our students who are able to be in more of the higher incident or our ID classrooms. This is an example of when and how to use addition versus subtraction word problems. If you look at all the different standards, you can come up with your own by knowing who your student population is. This is just an example. And this isn't the only way of being able to do them. This is just showing you all the resources that you can connect to help your student be more prepared and feel more comfortable in their classroom and be more successful. You want it to be engaging. And you also want to have different ways for them to present to you their mastery and knowledge of what they just learned. So this one particular rubric I included, not only are the answers written, but to show mastery, have the students write their own word problem to show that there's an understanding. So I'm going to link to my live binders just to give you a quick overview. This is what the home page looks like when you get there. You will also be able to connect the PowerPoint that was sent to all your emails. There's the table of contents, why assistive technology, the definition of technology, and I have videos for you. And the timeline is giving you a little bit of explanation of the history and the purpose of assistive technology. This is just showing you the views of how many people have came to this site to use it. We have a couple different lending libraries. I have adaptive tools for eating, what that might look like. Why we use AT devices to close the gap. I have examples of low tech, some AAC devices. There's more information when you click on it. You'll have all these sub tabs come up explaining to you what is flexible seating, what does it look like. Teaching to the edges. This is a very, very good video. I got a lot out of that, and that's why this is in here. And I also did, let's see, you have to click on this link to get to the Canva for another, well, I don't want to click on it because I don't want to leave this site yet. What are sensory impairments? Supporting people with vision impairments, supporting people with hearing impairments, supporting people with physical limitations. One that you may go to and use often is AT for cognitive abilities. We use Bookshare. I'm giving you some classroom setup ideas. Low incident classroom supports. And then the last tab is the Pickerington Local School District Assistive Technology pages. There is a new updated assistive technology consideration flow, and here's the new documentation, how we expect you to document in the IEP. Toolkit ideas. That was the one example I showed earlier. My newsletter. Here's February's. Just one sheet just to give you some new updates and maybe more guidance. There's the guidance. An implementation checklist for AAC. You always want more than one device to be considered. You want the family to be involved. And these are things that you would go over with your staff and the parents. And in this one is the same with guidance, but I've recorded it and made it more explicitly explained so that you would understand how to go about using the AAC direction and guidance. Simple how to contact IT in our district. There are supports here for SLPs. You can also get yourself acquainted with these programs. Then we also have inventory. These are just some of the information that we have. Switch toys we have. Different AAC switch devices. All right, where are you? And the forms to request This is to request resources. Maybe there's a referral. What you would do is after your IEP meeting, if the team is unable to lead this part of the referring process and you think you need outside help and you would like me to come on board and assist, that's what this form is for. What usually happens is if I'm invited, I usually do just a screening first. If I'm unable to assist the student through the screening, then we will go to our psychologist so that they can request permission from the family so we can do a full assessment. And that's either using the SET or using the WADI. Those aren't up here for you to access only because we need to get parent permission first. And then you will be given the paperwork, and I would be there also to help guide you through that. So that ends my training for assistive technology and for UDL and for introduction to your classroom setup. One of the most important things is the setup of your classroom. And if you are unsure of things, please feel free to reach out to me. One of my strengths is antecedent classroom management, I guess is what it's called. And that is your areas are set up in your classroom to help to not have the meltdowns that you would have. We have also a blue room for calming for your sensory area. And you want the student to feel comfortable and welcomed in their classroom. And there are ways to set up your classroom that invites that environment. And I would be more than glad to come to your room to help you. If there's no other questions, don't even. File. I did that. Okay, it should be stopped. I just got to stop it. Okay. Where are you?